Okay, and make sure you have your math journal with you and also this paper that we're going to do together. So the first fraction that we see is 3 over 4. So we have our number line already. We need to fill in the tick marks and our spaces. So we always start at 0. I know that I have 4 as my denominator, so I'm going to make sure that I have 5 tick marks. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see my top number is 3, that's my numerator, and that's how many jumps I'm going to do. So I'm going to start at 0 and jump. 1, 2, 3. Once I land, I'm going to put my point and label that 3 over 4. Now I need to go back and label my whole number line. So I have 0, this tick mark is 1 over 4. This one is 2 over 4. We already have 3 over 4. And the last one is 1, which is also equals 4 over 4. The 0 is also equal to 0 over 4. So we've just labeled 3 over 4 on our first number line. Let's move to the next one. Our fraction is 4 over 6. So I need to put my tick marks. I know my denominator is 6, so I need 7 tick marks. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we can do our jumps. My numerator is 4, so I'm going to do 4 jumps starting at 0. So start at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Put your dot on the number line. So now we need to label it. This dot represents 4 over 6. Now we need to label our whole number line so we can show our work and make sure that we did get it right. So the first one is 1 over 6, 2 over 6, 3 over 6, we already have 4 over 6, next one is 5 over 6, and your 1 represents 6 over 6. Remember, your 0 is always 0 over your denominator, 6. Okay, well, next one is 1 over 3. So I know I have a 3 in the denominator. I'm going to have 4 marks. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 1 jump. That's my numerator, so I'm going to do 1 jump and land and mark it with my dot on the number line. Then I'll label below 1 over 3. I still need to label my whole number line. So this is 1 over 3. This one is 2 over 3. And then 1 equals 3 over 3. Your 0 equals 0 over 3.
You do have the fraction 4/5, but we are going to skip over that one, so you can just leave it blank. Don't worry about drawing lines on it or anything. That's just going to make your paper messy. So we are going to move on to 1/2. Remember, with our fractions, we go between 0 and 1. To figure out how many lines I need to add, I subtract 1 from my denominator. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So I just need to add 1 line on my number line. Make sure that whenever you add your line, you have equal spaces because fractions are equal groups. So I have 1/2. I'm going to label my fraction bar. In order to figure out my denominator, I need to count my spaces between 0 and 1. I have 1, 2. So I know that my denominator is 2. 0, I have no parts, so 0 over 2. From 0 to my first line, I have 1 space. My denominator is my total number of spaces. And then from 0 to 1, my numerator, I have 2 spaces. And my denominator is still going to be the 2. So I want to represent 1/2 on this number line. So I'll make my jump 1/2. My next one, I have 2/3. My denominator is a 3. I'm going to subtract 1 to figure out how many lines I need to add. So 3 minus 1 is 2. I need to add 2 lines. Oh, I'm sorry. We should have had our 1 down there. So I need to add 2 lines between 0 and 1. I want to try and make them relatively easy because fractions, we have equal groups. So I want to count my spaces to determine my denominator. 1, 2, 3. So my denominator is going to be 3. My denominator is the same on every single one. It does not change. My numerator is how many spaces I have between 0 and the line that I'm looking at. So 0, I have 0 spaces from 0. From 0 to my first line, I have 1 space. From 0 to my next line, 1, 2 spaces. And from 0 to 1, I have a total of 3 spaces, so 1 equals 3/3. I want to represent my 2/3. So I'm going to jump until I hit 2/3. That's 1/3. I'm not there yet. Make another jump to 2/3, and I'm going to draw my dot to label it. And my last one, I have 1/4 to figure out, oh, I'm sorry, we have 0. Our fractions stay between 0 and 1. 4 is my denominator. I'm going to subtract 1. 4 minus 1 is 3, so I need to add 3 lines. And now my denominator should be how many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 spaces. My denominator is 4, so those match. And 1 equals. Okay? From 0, I don't have any spaces, so 0/4 equals 0. From 0 to my first line, I have 1 space. 0 to my next line, my numerator is 2. 0 to my next line, I have 1, 2, 3 spaces. And then from 0 to 1, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So I want to represent 1/4, 0, make a jump. I landed at 1/4. I'm going to draw my circle.